had it a while ago. I ended up, it was like I was in some desert, like some Saudi Arabian fucking desert, and I ended up coming across a building that wasn't on any map. And I was like, this looks weird. And I'm looking on the map. I didn't see anything like that. And then I ended up getting taken inside, and I see Palantir fucking logos everywhere. And it's like the most futuristic shit that I've ever seen. It was like, I was telling you guys in the chat, it was like a material that was like metal, but it felt like fabric. It was like soft, but it was like impenetrable, you know? And all these weird cameras everywhere that you could tell weren't cameras. Like they were detecting something else. And I ended up meeting up with some guys there that were Americans, and they spoke English, and I spoke to them. And I heard some people speaking like different Arabic languages. And then I heard some people speaking a language that I'd never heard of before, and ended up asking them a lot of questions. And that day, Karp was supposed to be there. And I remember kind of thinking, like, I know this is a fucking dream, but I'm curious what he's going to say, you know? Unfortunately, I woke up before I could get the poem.
How long ago was this dream?
Oh, it was a while ago. It was like 2 months ago. I meant to tell you about it. But the thing is, it was one of those like super long dreams that like you'll get up and go to the bathroom and come back and continue it. So it was a long fucking dream. It was like a movie, this thing. And I just
when you must have bought your Palantir shares. This is the
maybe it might have been around there, but I just wish that I would have written it down. Like one of my favorite classes in college that I took was on journal writing, and it was about different ways that you can remember your dreams. And it was always like, have a journal by your bed and write down everything that you think of right when you wake up, and move your body as little as possible, so that you stay in that like weird dream state. And it really helped, because it helped inspire ideas for screenplays, because that's where I was studying screenplay writing. And man, I should do that. I should do that, because I have some crazy dreams sometimes that I swear I'm going to remember, and I didn't. But anyway, yeah, that was my Palantir lucid dream. This fucking guy's got me dreaming about this stock.
I don't know why. I don't know what other catalyst you need to buy the stock. If I was dreaming about Enphase, I would be buying Enphase.
Well, it probably was around the time that I bought, which, by the way, $18. We're knocking on $18. That's pretty good.
Not bad.
It's pretty good. Pretty
Vitaly,
good.
why is your name Mr. Roboto today?
That's excellent. Mr. Roboto?
Why is it Mr. Roboto? I'm curious.
I think he's trying to do a different reference from an era that you'll never
understand.
I bet that's the reference. I bet you all get it.
Oh, wait, how do you say that again? I can't even say it wrong. Go ahead.
Mr. Roboto.
Mr. Roboto? Mr. Roboto. Domo arigato. Mr. Roboto. Come on.
It's a dance. You know the dance, the Mr. Roboto?
Isn't Roboto a font?
Well, one day when I get to what's a teeny bopper band that Amit would know? I don't even
right now. Oh, you gotta probably get.
Band.
Wait, when were you born?
97.
Oh shit. Okay, so you gotta go all the way up to like NSYNC.
No, that's our time. NSYNC is our time.
You remember it?
He probably does not know NSYNC.
I know NSYNC. Are you crazy? I know.
Name two members. Name two members of NSYNC.
Justin Timberlake
and
Timberlake. Justin.
I mean, I don't know the members of NSYNC, but I know
Joey Fatone, or they used to say Joey Fat One.
Bro, bye. Everyone's heard bye.
Everyone's heard it.
Bye. I know that
because it's licensed.
I didn't get the nick. By the way, some guy, someone on Twitter actually put up Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. And I was like, okay, you got the nick for tonight, and let's see if Amit gets it. I even basically called you out on it.
Not being able to get it.
So is this from a movie?
Oh boy.
Like I still don't get the reference.
Music, dude. You got to listen to more music, okay? That's like
what is your favorite band?
Line.
What is your favorite band?
Okay, my favorite artist is Drake. So
this is like the modern day guys. Right. There's no bands anymore.
Someone that plays actual music, not some dude that like mumble raps over.
I kind of like you're talking about band. I like the Beatles. I enjoy the Beatles.
All right, name one song by the Beatles.
Okay, I know a lot of songs by the Beatles. Okay,
what is the last?
So go ahead, name one.
I know.
Should
Hey
be
Jude.
easy then.
I know Hey Jude. I know Eleanor Rigby. I know Come Together. I know I know my Beatles.
Name two members in the band.
John. No, hold on. Paul McCartney and Ringo
Starr.
And hold on. I'm do the other John Lennon.
Okay. There you go. Good.
What is the last concert that you went into where people played actual instruments?
I have never been to a concert in my life. Ever. I actually, bro, I don't enjoy the concept of a concert. It's never
you really haven't been to like.
If you get a date, I'm going to Guns N' Roses. You should come, but you have
I'd rather do anything other than that. Like that's just the idea of sitting there and like I never got the concept of a concert. Like you're there and people are playing
there's
music.
a different experience.
I know, but that's like saying you're saying I've never got the concept of something that I've never actually done before.
Yeah, you don't believe in live events? Is this what you're saying?
No, I went to Afropunk in 2016, and that was live, and I was there for like 5 hours, and I hated it, bro. I was just
not real. They're not playing music. They're not playing music. That's not a drum set with a guitarist playing the music live.
I just hated standing for 5 hours acting as if I'm having fun. Like that's why I can never go to a rave. I can never go to EDC. Or like,
well, no. First of all, if you don't like a certain type of music, of course you're not going to enjoy it. But if you go to something you enjoy, a type of music, then you will enjoy the whole concert, the whole 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I like music when I'm on the treadmill or when I'm on a train. Like that's when I listen to music.
Bro, I'm gonna make you a playlist.
I feel sorry for your future boyfriend.
I am. I'm gonna make you a playlist. If you get through 7 of those songs, you're gonna put on 20 pounds of solid muscle in a week.
Speaking about concerts, have you guys looked at Live Nation? Like they're growing like crazy. Profitability is amazing. Like it's really worth taking a look at. I started to do some due diligence on it like a little while ago, but I wish I had pulled the trigger. But if you could see right now, it's about a $22 billion market cap. But these guys have like almost like a monopoly on the concert space, So
if their fees only go up, dude. Their fees only freaking go up.
Yeah, they were involved
with Taylor Swift in terms of what she's doing for the economy and everything.
So remind me, does Live Nation own Ticketmaster?
Like $1 billion.
Does Live Nation own Ticketmaster or no?
I don't know.
It's a couple of players.
Yeah, they are. They are. It's a subsidiary. Ticketmaster is a subsidiary.
Ticketmaster, Live Nation, StubHub. What are the other ones? I feel like there's none.
So they basically own the space. That's it.
Yeah.
They have all the contracts with all the venues.
Yeah. Right. So basically, right now, if you're an artist, or even if you're an up and coming artist, you're gonna have to have some level of connection to these guys, and literally they make a shit ton of money. It's like I said, it's worth doing some due diligence.
It is a monopoly, by the way. That is true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Big day in the markets. We have not gotten that pullback that we thought we might have gotten yesterday. Markets continue to go higher.
I wasn't thinking that. Were you thinking that?
I was thinking we were going to get a pullback yesterday. Yeah, I thought after 450 on the S&P, we're going to get a little retracement. But no, one of the reasons was this. A lot of people did not pay attention to this. Canadian inflation. We expected 3%. It came in at 2.8. So not only is the U.S. going down, the UK, they got to figure their shit out. That's not figured out yet. But Canada is also coming down, which is good because it was sticky in Canada for a couple months. Markets went up. Netflix, Tesla earnings tomorrow, up before earnings. I guess we'll start with this. Biggest news of the day was Microsoft adding $80 billion in 10 minutes for being able to upsell 400 million people who use Office in the suite Office 365 on their AI Copilot program, which just makes Excel, Microsoft Word, and PowerPoint even better with AI. The market assumed that if even 10% of the people adopt that $30 per month subscription, that's $16 to the bottom line, $16 billion coming down to the bottom line. Chris, what was your thoughts on Microsoft hitting not a 52-week high, but an all-time high off just the concept of AI-enabled subscriptions transforming their business?
I mean, if you want a monopoly, Microsoft is your number. I mean, they've been a monopoly since the 80s. I mean, sometimes they're like a little bit waffling with it where they don't seem like they are, but dude, they own 90 something. I would say probably 95% of the Office enterprise suite. Like I never worked a day in my life at an institution that did not have Microsoft Office as its backbone. Like, yeah, I get it. Apple and everything is nice, and Google Sheets is starting to like come around. But in terms of penetration, dude, there's no challenging Microsoft. The longest standing connections that they have, and this is literally a cash cow for them because it's nothing but just software, right? If you think about it, it's just software that's endlessly multiplied throughout corporations. So if there was a perfect stock, in my opinion, at this point, even better than Apple, it's probably Microsoft.
This is actually interesting for Apple because Apple doesn't have, the ChatGPT OpenAI investment. So I think they need to do something that matches what Microsoft is doing to also compete, because Microsoft just made a play where I'm more interested in Windows. Have you seen the actual their website that shows what they're doing?
No,
Bing Chat Enterprise.
What are they doing?
Why don't I share it?
Yeah, let's share it.
Yeah, Microsoft. The other thing is Microsoft made an amazing acquisition with GitHub, because if you think about it, all the developers and
You see
everyone else, dude, you're getting so much value for it. I mean, Google at this point, they need to buy up GitLab ASAP, because otherwise
They own a lot of
I don't
shares
know.
of GitLab right now, right?
They do, and every time it's hit $30, Google's been buying nonstop. So, you know, it's been something that I've been watching. But dude, in terms of like enterprise space, Microsoft just dominates.
So let's see if this is the link I had.
This is the video. Yeah, it's already playing. Yeah.
No. This is
Oh, it's not it?
no. They had like a little commercial sort of that they discussed it. So let me find it first, and then I'll put it back up. Okay.
But the summary is basically Microsoft Word is going to get even cooler now with Pilot.
Well, yeah, basically. So you're like, here, look at my emails, look at my Word document, look at it. I need a 10-point presentation slide discussing these topics based on my email, based on my Word documents. It creates it for you. Obviously, you go in and edit what you want, but it also gives you a structure that you can work with right away. And the other thing, which it's all internal to the enterprise. So that's actually important. So it's not leaking out. It's staying with the enterprise, sort of like what Palantir is doing. And I would say both have a place. And I wouldn't say like, oh, Microsoft's going to take Palantir's and eat their lunch. It's not, because if you need someone to do something special for you, then you need Palantir. But if you just need a generic AI system, I think it's obvious. You just pay Microsoft $30 and you just get it, right? That's like cheap.
Yeah.
So if I needed to use it, $30 is nothing a month for a user. I know people are talking about, oh, this is expensive, but $30 to become more productive, even 10% more productive, it's nothing.
Every company will pay for it.
If you think about it, if you think about it, like let's say you have an organization that has 1,000 users, right? 1,000 real power users. You integrate this with your SSL, right? So basically, what happens is that they're going to be authenticated using your Active Directory account, which is what everyone gets. And then for every user, they end up paying that 30% license fee. What does that end up being? Like 1,000, like let's say 1,000 people in your organization. That's $30,000 a month, which is, to be honest with you, in terms of enterprise like spend, that's nothing, you know. So just a thought.
Okay, so speaking on Microsoft, then this is going to propel us into a even larger discussion right here. Meta announced a partnership with Microsoft today, and I think this tweet that I want to read in full has a lot of implications for AI startups and also for what's going to go on with Meta and Microsoft. So Zuck announces today that Meta will be open sourcing Llama 2 with Microsoft. This is a massive announcement for a few reasons. This could kill a number of the open source LLM startups. Llama, by the way, for those who don't know, is like Facebook's big large language models that they've been training on a ton of data over the past year or two. Mosaic, Red Pajama, etc. are in major trouble. The $1.3 billion in Mosaic ML acquisition looks especially terrible in the wake of this news. And the reason he's saying it's terrible is because if everything's open sourced, then why do you, from Meta and Microsoft? You know, why do you need anything proprietary like that? This also thrusts Meta onto the AI scene. With this announcement, Zuck is signaling how strong Meta's AI position is. They will now own one of the most widely adopted LLMs, plus have one of the best training data sets in the world. And finally, this further strengthens Microsoft's dominant position in the AI space. With this partnership, they have exclusive partnerships with the top LLMs, OpenAI and Meta. Remember, all these startups are licensing the APIs from the big guys. And priority access to NVIDIA's GPUs and strategic assets like GitHub and Azure. The Game of Thrones for AI has taken another turn. Chris,
I do want to point out before Chris can take over, but I just want to say that when they open sourced, I think a year ago now or 8 months, I don't know what it was, all the projects started building on Meta's LLM. So all the open source projects, if you go onto the, I forgot what the website was, but they're all building on Llama. And so now Llama 2 is integrating some of that stuff that makes it more for professional use, you know?
Yeah.
Which is important, obviously, for corporations. And that's how they're going to keep making bank. That's what we talked about this a long time ago.
We did.
That there is a bull case for Meta where they are a bigger AI play than most companies, and nobody's pricing that in. We've talked many times. And as soon as they can open up their APIs and charge for these APIs, and I think it's finally happening. That's what's going on here.
They become an app store, essentially.
It's obvious now.
So I think one of the cool things is we're starting to transition now from text-based LLMs to now multimodal LLMs. Do you know what that is, Amit? I'm sure that you know what it is.
It's photos, videos. You're adding a ton of new stuff.
Yes, exactly. Because the thing is, like right now, there are tons of AI companies that are coming out and saying, oh, look, we've got this feature and that feature, but most of them are just chatbots running off of text-based models that are just kind of like vaporware, to be honest with you. You guys know that. So they are going to disappear. If the VCs right now are not playing around, they're saying produce. If you can't produce value for our end users and provide a business case, we're not going to invest in you and we're going to the next thing. That's just how the current market is. And I'm seeing a lot of traction with multimodal. And this right here, this partnership lends to that. And I think this is going to be a really big deal for both Meta and Microsoft. And the one thing I do want to just quickly bring up, I know everyone's like, oh, Microsoft's already valued so much. You know, this is the same argument that was made in 1990. Same argument was made in the year 2000. Same argument made in 2010. Same argument that's made 2020. Anytime you see a pullback in Microsoft, dude, you just go to church, pray to whatever God you believe in, and say, thank you, Jesus, for bringing down the price of Microsoft for me to buy. Because Microsoft is that company that you buy and you just hold long-term forever. You're going to collect dividends. You're going to get capital appreciation. You know, you have a monopoly that's built in. So if you're looking for like a safe haven stock to just put your money into and park for the next 10 years, Microsoft, there is no better bet than Microsoft.
I agree. And I actually bought it during the pandemic. I never owned Microsoft really until the pandemic crash. And then I started a big dividend portfolio and Microsoft was in it purely for the dividends. I wasn't even thinking about, oh, they're going to take over AI too. But thank God I kept that one.
Same here. I never really considered them much of anything. And then I forgot what it was. I had sold some stuff off for fear of the crash. And I was like, where do I park this money? I remember having that conversation with Patel, like, where do I park this money that's going to be safe? And every number that I ran, I was like, it's got to be Microsoft. You just got to park it there. And the thing just keeps on going.
Yeah, because it generates so much cash, you know, and right now with Satya Nadella being at the head of it, this guy is a once in a lifetime allocator of capital. Like, you know, like sometimes you see businesses make really stupid acquisitions. Think of one acquisition that Satya Nadella's made in the last 5 years that's been a dumb acquisition. Even the ones that seemed ridiculous, like LinkedIn, dude, great acquisition. You know, same thing with GitHub. I know some people thought that they overpaid for it too, and I was like, oh, y'all can't see the future.
How much do they pay?
I would argue Bill Gates is a better allocator of capital. Okay, but I'll take Satya
Doesn't Bill
Nadella
Gates allocate capital to like Jeffrey Epstein's island or something?
Oh God. All right.
Isn't that no? But like, bro, that's why she divorced him. Like, we're not gonna play around, bro. That's
no. And aside from that, if you go down the Bill Gates rabbit hole, it gets deep.
It gets crazy, bro.
The guy is not a good actor. Like I used to work security. This is like total anecdotal story, so take it for what it's worth. I used to work in the security business, right? We used to do like alarms and cameras, whatnot. And so you talk to people from other industries that are loosely related. I spoke to a guy who told me that he worked on a secret project at Bill Gates's house, where like he basically built like in his house. It's like this doesn't sound ridiculous. Like basically in his house, he could escape down like underwater into like a submarine, into like a fucking, he has like a whole place that he could live underneath his property or one of his properties.
That sounds like fun.
Like a
That's
bunker,
all rich people though.
like $1 billion bunker or something that he could live for years. And it always made me wonder, like a lot of the big time guys don't really care about things like climate change or like the end of the world. And it's like, well, maybe they do have some sort of like massive backup plan that they just like, they don't give a shit, you know?
Well, that's why he's buying all that farmland. So he has a plan if something goes to hell.
The farmland?
He's prepared.
Yeah, well, the farmland, you know, the theory is that's to control population. That it's all about it's all about reducing population. And we can go down that route. But
you know,
I'd rather not.
Right now.
You know, one thing that always like irks me every time I see Steve Ballmer's net worth. If you're talking about a guy who's fucking like Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer was the CEO of Microsoft from the year 2000 to 2014. He was literally the guy who
messed it up.
He didn't do shit. He didn't mess it up. No. See, I think a lot of people give Steve Ballmer shit. You got to remember. Well, the stock didn't grow as much, but you have to remember, Microsoft was also under a lot of scrutiny during the 90s for being a monopoly. So they had a lot of observers constantly on their back. And so Steve Ballmer had to play nice with everyone. Yeah, they had their product failures like the Zune and all this other stuff. So I'm not saying he was the best CEO in the world. But at the same time, this dude, do you know what his net worth is right now?
It's like 60 billion, something like that.
105 billion.
Jesus Christ.
Steve Ballmer is worth 105
And it's just because he got a ton
billion.
of shares. That's all. That's why.
Well,
Yeah.
you got to realize
Gotta
he
be
was there early.
holy
He was like their
Yeah.
year 2 of Microsoft. Okay, he was there a long time, so he deserves that 100 billion. He was there 30 years, you know.
But the Clippers can never even win a game, so I don't know exactly.
And he owns that too, so I'm sure
And he
that
owns
makes some
that,
money
yeah.
as well. But
Yo, on a side thing, just like to throw a curveball into like when we're talking about how social media and language models and AI are expanding. I caught this today, and I wanted to see what you guys think of this. I'm going to share this thing real quick. We'll just play a little bit of it because it's really just about the speculation about where it's going. Let me see. Yeah, it's this one. All right, tell me if you guys can hear this. Tell me if you guys can hear this.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
Well, you're not playing it yet. You have to play it
Hold on.
because it's paused.
Can you hear it?
The video on the YouTube. You need to. There you go.
Now you have to create your own brand so that you
Can you hear it?
Yep.
Okay, good. So I'm just gonna.
can advertise yourself.
It's nice. I like it. Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about was interesting is that so obviously everyone's been talking about threads and their growth, and they've hit over 100 million registrants. I'm not sure if they're users just yet, but I'm sure at some point in time we'll start to get some data around what their DAUs are. But what's really interesting to me about threads is that they indicated that at a later date, they didn't say when, but they're going to be implementing what's called the Activity Pub protocol, right? So Activity Pub protocol essentially is it is a decentralized method that will allow for users to interact with posts and other content creators and influencers cross platforms. So specifically what that means is you'll be able to interact with someone's posting on threads if you are on another platform that's using it, like a Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook. So it's interesting because it means that the walled garden environment that we all knew and we all came to know in the world of social media is they're essentially tearing them down for social media 2.0. So that's a big change in that you just won't have to register and sign up for an account every single time you want to interact with someone else that's creating content on a platform where you're not a member of.
So you say this is a protocol, but I can see why, if threads, one platform may want to tap the content of another platform, but right, but some platforms want to stay closed. So why would they allow this to happen on their platform?
I think you get more access to, we'll put it like this. I think a few different reasons, but one of the ways I think it's interesting is that the content creator will be able to reach their audiences beyond people into their audiences and people that are interested in their content beyond people that are just sitting on that specific platform.
So TikTok guys.
So anyway, he goes on to explain how they would have to develop some sort of revenue share model. So like, and monetizing it based on like the levels of connection. So if a post originated in one place, they would get the lion's share of revenue as it goes down the chain. But
let me tell you what's actually happening here. What's actually happening is Zuckerberg is putting on a show to try to seem like he's the good guy who's not trying to keep a walled garden. Never in the history of social media will there be a interdisciplinary approach for content to be accessed from one platform to another. Facebook has made their hundreds of billions per year off closing the walls. They will never justify to shareholders, oh, we're opening the walled garden so Pinterest users can access Facebook content or vice versa. It's just not going to happen.
Pinterest users can already access Facebook data because there's a like button on every No, but
that's different. I log into my Pinterest account, and in my Pinterest feed, I see my grandma's 90th birthday. That's a Facebook post, right? That's not supposed to be on Pinterest.
Can you put up Ben's comment? I thought that was pretty clever.
Random black guy in random looking. It was pretty random.
No, these guys, they were the other guy you didn't see was Tom Lee. They were having a conversation with Tom.
Oh, Tom Lee.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Right. So the first piece of this conversation was about inflation, and then they were all going around the room being like, "What has piqued your interest today?" And that was his turn. He was like, "Before we get there, this is something I saw."
And Tom Lee is like, S&P to 4,850.
So he was bragging about how he not only called the S&P price, but also called the market reaction. No,
he did. He did.
He called both, and he had to hit
Yeah.
both to get it right. And he was just kind of, doing the victory lap.
But see, this is the other reason. Mastodon is not a thing. Like Farcaster, I know a lot of these decentralized networks. They're not a thing, bro. This narrative has to die because it's ridiculous. Elon's never going to let people. If Elon's doing rate limits, you think he's going to let Threads users in a decentralized protocol access Twitter's content? Like, no.
Well, to bring the other side for 1 second. So I agree with this walled garden thing. I don't think Zuck wants people on maybe Threads to kill Elon's baby, maybe for that. But I think Instagram, he controls it. It's a monopoly. Okay. If Meta is a monopoly, basically. But he does keep talking about the VR and all that and the metaverse. And he does say that we need to have interoperable systems to actually make this work, sort of like the internet. So maybe that's where he's heading.
That's different from social media to me. That makes sense.
Yeah, but he's going to connect it all. That's happening. He's going to connect your profile to your metaverse profile. That's going to happen. It's already happening, first of all. So I think he has that plan in mind that it has to be more open in order for everybody to participate in Internet 2.0, 3.0, whatever you want to call it. So
okay, but
there's some truth here.
No, but the reason, here's the thing. If it was just about accessing posts on other networks, I could understand. But once you start getting monetization involved, monetization is the like right now, Threads cannot monetize their creators, right? Because it fundamentally, like, shareholders would hate it. Like if they started to share ad revenue with the Wall Street would hate it. Twitter, being a private company, can basically weaponize that and give all the money to them and operate at basically zero and give all the money to the content creators. But if they would have opened it up and they would have said, I'm trying to think of a reason why Elon would want to open it up. If you say, well, okay, what if you can get people that are on Threads or people that are on LinkedIn, and you get, say, a percentage of any ad revenue that would allow him to basically get free money to further monetize.
Well, here, I'll give you a perfect example why this would work. Okay, so let's say I'm on Threads because I love it. And I see all the ads on Threads. The only one there. I see it on Threads. It comes in. The ad comes into Facebook. That works that way. But I'm talking to someone on Twitter, and they see the ad on Twitter, and Elon's still making money off of that. So I think there's no.
No, here's the issue with what you said. Here's the issue with what you said. The algorithm is curating a feed for us. I don't understand how you have 17,000 algorithms all at once showing you my tweet that is super relevant to you when I tweet about Enphase. At the same time, you're seeing a video you like on Instagram. Like,
that happens.
How does that all go?
It happens already with podcasts. That's what you're trying to do with Audit. It's an RSS feed.
No, but Audit is a centralized platform. We're not using RSS feeds. That's the whole mode.
But it would be essentially a cross-platform RSS feed. Look,
no, but you can't do that. You can't do that.
Hold on. When people had PlayStation and people had Xbox, they had to find a way for those players to play against each other, and that benefits the users of both because it opens up access and competition.
But Carlos, here's the question:
et cetera.
Who controls the algorithm? Let's say you have a super app that shows you Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
No.
Who controls an algorithm to curate?
The idea is that it's decentralized. So
no. The algorithm's still controlled by Twitter and still controlled by Meta. That's
on their individual sides.
Yeah. Well, when I post right now in Threads, you can click do a tweet. It goes to Twitter, and then Elon does whatever he wants with it. Supposedly shows it in the feed. He can block all of those.
That's not what you're talking about. You're talking about I'm scrolling Threads and Amit's tweet pops up, right? Because it's supposed to be cross-platform. How does Twitter or Meta know how to show my tweet underneath the thread?
No, that's incorporated into their system. What are you talking about?
No. You guys aren't understanding. So let's say there's a YouTube thumbnail for Finance Junkies, and then there's Chris Patel's tweet, and then there's Vitaly's wife's Pinterest post.
Yo, why are you talking about Vitaly's wife like that? Why are you thinking about Vitaly?
Keep my wife out of your fucking mouth.
Keep my wife's name out your.
How? Like my question is on that feed. First of all, these impressions are everything, right? The advertising is measured by impressions. If Twitter, if this whatever platform is showing you a tweet when they could be showing you a thread, that's missing ad impressions, which shareholders care about because they want to know how many impressions you're getting. on the platform. Because but you guys are like, it's all decentralized. You log in through one thing and you can see your Twitter, your Pinterest, your YouTube, I don't think algorithmically that's even a good experience for creators. There's a reason it's hard to watch videos on YouTube or on Twitter, because on YouTube that's where we have the curated feed.
Right, but I think what you're assuming that's going to be built into the functionality of each app.
It has to be if it's decentralized.
Hold on. But if we just go based off of what he's saying, Activity Hub or whatever it is say another platform, like another layer on top of it. So let's just say you sign on to Activity Pub and it knows all of your accounts everywhere, and it basically is curating a feed for you, decentralized by getting all of the feeds from your various social media accounts, and it allows you to interact with all of them in one space. You're still logged into all of them. They're still all sending you their feeds, but you as a user are on this Activity Hub thing, and you sign on to all those accounts, and now you have basically, like you saw, like this 3D, almost like solar system looking thing where you have all of your social medias and you have connections between them. It can send you things that are trending, say, on Threads and Twitter, things that they're talking about on LinkedIn that may have mentioned your name. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just don't think that's a great experience for the user. To me, that's a horrible experience.
But it's kind of like, you know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like the Apple News app does that now. It aggregates a feed for you based on all of the posts from all different news sources that's made for you based on your interests.
Apple News doesn't print $128 billion in ad revenue a year. Like the monopoly that Meta and Google does $30 billion in ad revenue on YouTube a year. Like you get that because you keep people hooked onto the platform. That's how it works, in my opinion.
So just so you know, monopolies do collude. Okay, this wouldn't be Mastodon participating. This would be Twitter and Threads. Okay, that's it. It wouldn't be open to everybody because they have 6 people. There is no benefit to opening up to 6 people. So it would be some sort of a collusion thing. We call it Activity Hub or Pub or whatever you want to call it, but it's a collusion thing. So billionaires stay billionaires.
Can you bring up Dex's point at Dex's tweet at 7:38? I agree. Chris, you freaking nailed it, dude.
All right, we're transitioning to this.
He's just counting his Patreon money right now.
By the way, subscribe to Chris's Patreon. He's about to
subscribe to the
I'm
Patreon.
I'm a subscriber, and I'm like,
are you at the $5 level or the $25 level? $25 level or $5 level?
I'm the $5 level because Amit won't pay me.
I'm doing the $10 for Chris. I'm doing 10. I'm not cheap.
You know what's messed up? What's messed up? Carlos, you subscribe to this thing, but we just gave Chris open access to our whole Discord and Patreon. I'm like, go ahead, take it. Take it all. Chris is like, you guys gonna have to pay the $5.
I'll pay the $5. Maybe I can pull some strings and you'll grandfather me into a higher tier.
All right, let's talk about this. Chamath says index rebalancing will be a bitch. Since January, a handful of stocks have dragged up the stock market. These 7 companies represent the largest market cap. The result is a unique phenomenon that has implications for the next move upwards or downwards. He says sometimes an up market benefits all or most companies, but this hasn't been the case. If you subtract the returns of the 7, you find there's a huge spread. There are 2 implications of this. There are strict rules about the composition of indices. As such, the indices will refactor how important these 7 companies will be. In fact, the NASDAQ just announced they will reduce the top 7 from 55% to 43%. That's Amazon, Meta, Google, all those. This will result in many funds selling these companies in order to rebalance. Assuming the market finds a new leg upwards, it stands to reason that the marginal move upwards will benefit the other companies first. Said differently, when combined with one, you could expect the spread between the weighted and unweighted index to close. Chris, what are your thoughts on Mr. Chamath's thoughts here?
I mean, I don't know how much of an impact that's going to be on the underlying stocks. I do see a lot of people already pricing this into their calculations. So, like I said, I don't know how much of this is actually going to really impact it. This is not like new news. Like, this is not like today we just woke up and it's like, oh my God, we're doing index rebalancing. This is something that's kind of already been in the works. So I don't think that this is that big of a deal. As much as Chamath wants to make it out to be, but I guess we'll see next week, right? I do, however, agree with his stance on Google and Amazon, which I think are still undervalued relative to their peers, especially considering how much potential they have to further grow their businesses. So, just a thought.
I think this actually explains, sorry, Amit, but I think this actually explains why companies like Palantir, like the mid-cap stocks, have been pumping.
I agree.
I think money's starting to trickle out and go into those stocks because when they pull that money out, where are they going to go? They're not going to go into the small caps. They're going to go into the mid-caps that are at decent valuations comparatively. So I don't know that it's not already happened. that we're not already rebalancing. I don't know if people are going to wait for some artificial milestone to start rotating out of it, but I feel like we've been seeing that already.
Yeah. I this is one of the reasons why I was actually so bullish on the regional banks, because there was so much pessimism behind them that people really didn't think that they had much room left in terms of further growth. So that's why if you look today, all the regionals were just trading much higher because the results are coming out and their net interest income margins are actually much better than what people were expecting. So when I looked at it, I was just yeah, Truist is doing well. It's more important to look at some of the ones that were even like bigger sell-offs, but this one was definitely one of the better plays in my opinion. DPST ran up, which is remember I told you guys the triple leveraged thing. Some of my Patreon people were asking me about it, and yeah, it did well. And I think throughout this week you're going to see a lot more regionals reporting, and it's just going to show that, you know what, the sector is not dead, that there's actually a lot of value to be had in this sector. So just an FYI, I think a lot of people are rotating from some of the growthier names to value play. So if you look at TFC, or you could pull up any of the other ones, like pull up Zion, or because Zion is a much smaller regional, but they're out in Utah. Scroll down, you can see that their PE is like literally a 5 with a 5% dividend, you know, which is kind of nuts. So a lot of people really sold them off, but they're a very important regional in the Utah area. The Mormon Church does a lot of business with them. So what it is you just have to be very conscious of each regional and see what their balance sheet looks like, and then just go from there and see what kind of business they're part of. Schwab rocketed. Yeah, I'm glad someone mentioned Schwab. Schwab also.
Why did Schwab rocket today?
Because once again, a lot of people thought that Schwab was very heavily exposed to the interest rate rises when their net interest income is still really good. They're not. I do have to do a bigger deep dive for you guys on how the Enphase system works, because the Enphase system really is protecting a lot of regionals from having to deal with the issues that were present in March, which was the run on the bank situation. So now you can evenly distribute out the risk and actually do a much better job of managing risk, because that's what banks really do, right? They do a good job managing risk. Now the only question that we're left with is, from a legislative standpoint, how is the government going to come down and say, you know, you're going to have to meet these additional capital requirements, so you're going to have to hold more cash on the balance sheet, which is never a good thing for the banks, primarily because, you know, they make money by lending the money out. If you just have money sitting in your bank account, you're not really going to make too much money on it. So so that's one of the drawbacks for the sector. But from what I can tell, there's going to be a lot of caveats. So one of the caveats is that if you don't have more than 100 billion in assets, you're exempt from that. So the way that I would best phrase it is, you've got the JP Morgans, the Wells Fargos, you know, those are too big to fail. The regional banks are too important to fail, because these regional banks actually control a lot of their local lending. And so you really don't want them not to be there to basically prop up local economies. So, and even a lot of local politicians, like, that's the one thing, if you ask any Democrat and any Republican, they'll say, I hate big banks, but they'll all say, we love regionals. So just a thought.
I'm just trying to, like, I have another buddy of mine who's super into regional banks, and he was flipping out today. And he sent me a couple of tickers. I think I'd sent them in the WhatsApp. I wanted to take a look at them today with us, but I'll see if he gets back to me. Anyway,
let's move on to this one. Or Chris, go ahead. Last thing.
No, I was going to say, send them my way. I'll take a look also, Carlos.
I did in the WhatsApp, and I can't seem to scroll back. There was 4 tickers, and I think Truist was one of them too. That's when I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's a guy that I worked with on a couple of projects. But to the question of, will Tesla skyrocket? I've watched I don't know.
Why is Kathy selling it so much?
I think she's selling it because she's made a good profit on it, and she's could be seeing a sell-off, because more likely than not, there's going to be a sell-off. If you look at what Tesla was, $100, we're at now 290 something on. Really, we only have Q1 earnings. I mean, this has all basically been speculation. Yeah, things like Cybertruck have pushed the price up, but until there's some confirmation that we should be at this level or move higher, I think there's a greater chance that it's going to tank. And I don't think did she sell all of it? I don't think she sold everything, did she?
No, I mean she sold.
No, of course not. I mean, do not laugh at Kathy. First of all, she was buying it at 150 when people were not. So she was purchasing shares.
She's sitting on.
So she bought a lot more shares when it tanked, and now she's selling those shares for a nice profit 6 months later.
I think. What do you think margins are going to be?
Me, I say roughly the same. I think they're going to keep maybe a little bit lower, 17, 18. That's what I'm thinking.
I think we're going to.
But having said that, it has run up a lot. I mean, it should pull back just on the fact that everything's been priced in at this point. So I still think it's going down a little bit.
Carlos, I want you to address.
It doesn't mean anyone should sell. That's not what I haven't sold a share. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till they're $2 trillion.
Honestly, it's the only stock I'm afraid to like sell options against. Like I would buy options against.
Selling covered calls.
Yeah, I'm afraid because it's so.
You don't want to lose 100 shares.
Yeah, I don't want to lose 100 shares of Tesla right now.
Yeah.
Carlos, I want you to address this Twitter exchange you had with someone saying that if a stock is 10x in like. You can't expect a stock to 10x after it's already 10x within the next 10 years. And you were saying you're being too bearish.
Oh, this was Grogu.
Yeah.
Earlier today. You want to pull it up?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
This was unprompted. By the way, I had just responded to him because he was saying all these people that are expecting companies that have 10x to 10x again in the next 5 years. I agree with him on the time frame that I think it's ridiculous for a company. And he said any company in the trillions. It's ridiculous to expect it to 10x in the next 5 years, and I agree with him on the time frame. But my whole thing was saying, like, because some people were asking, are you talking about Apple? Are you talking about Microsoft? Like, what companies are you talking about?
I think he's talking about Nvidia. Nvidia is the one I would,
or even Nvidia.
The biggest.
Yeah, that's got funny.
Yeah.
He says you have to be really delusional to think a company that is closing in on 1 trillion is going to do another 10x in 5 years. You could say that that's Meta. You could say that that's Tesla. Or maybe you failed probability in math and know how much TAM there is along with competitors to chip away. And I said Tesla will build new S-curves with robotaxi energy and a bot while continuing to grow the vehicle segment with Cybertruck, compact car, and expanded supercharging. It won't be 5x. It won't be 5 years, but a 10x is likely. Doubt it. I'll say again, you're too bearish. He said logical. 5 years, I agree with you. It's a nice dream. And then, but it doesn't even 3x from the last all-time highs in 5 years. And what did I say?
That's pretty bearish. I mean,
yeah, I gave him the bear, and then he
wrote. But hold on. Hold on. I mean, okay, so let's say it doesn't 10x and it's 5x.
He's saying 5x. It won't even.
I know, but who's right? Who wins at the end of the day? It's not a 10x. It's a 5x.
But he's saying by 2028 it won't even be $1,200. That's what he's saying.
No, he's saying 3x from last all-time high.
Yeah, last all-time high was 400.
So last all-time high was 414. Right. So he's saying it won't be $1,200 in 5 years. And my thinking
and Warren said it should be $900 right now.
Yeah, Warren's thinking it should be right. So there's a big range in terms of what Tesla's valuation should be. But I just go back and just ask yourself, like, with the exception of the exact timing on, say, FSD, what have they not achieved? What have they not followed through on? Even if the timing wasn't right, what have they not followed through on? Like, we'll see Cybertruck. Well, the Roadster has been put on pause.
The Semi, I think they stopped production on that.
No.
Yeah, I think they had to slow it down or stop it. Something was wrong. I don't remember exactly the story,
but it doesn't mean that they didn't launch the product. They said they were going to launch the Semi, and they did.
It's just delayed. So it's not 5 years, it's 10 years. It's not 10 years, it's 15 years. Okay, big deal.
But whatever it is, the point is that they've come through with everything that they've said they're going to do, and they've been really good about telling you what the roadmap is going to be and keeping you informed, whether it's Battery Day, Investor Day, shareholder, whatever it is. They keep you informed along the way of what the goals are. And then you have other companies, really smart people that do independent research. And then you also see their supposed competitors that are still losing money on every vehicle that they make, and startups that are getting absolutely creamed. I mean, Ford yesterday, the day after they posted the picture of the first Cybertruck, Ford announced that they dropped their margins. I actually got into a thing with Gary about that today.
By the way, I actually became more bullish on Ford because they're competing, and it made me think, hey, should I buy a Ford F-150 now because it's coming down in price, and I need a truck, and I'm not getting the Elon truck for a couple of years, 3 years.
I mean, you can if you want an EV truck. But
what I'm saying, this is bullish. The only other real competitor that's American is Ford
or Rivian.
That's it. Well, no, I mean,
By the way,
I think Ford would sell
I would-
way more F-150s than Rivian sells.
I
their
would
trucks.
probably get a. I would probably. I've had Fords before. I don't know if you ever had. Like I've had the Ford Lincoln Mercuries.
No, I don't
and
think I've ever had a Ford.
They're good. I mean, I had a Lincoln MKX. Had two of them. I actually love that vehicle, but I don't.
But
know
I would buy the F-150. I
would
seriously
probably
thought
go-
about it.
Does it qualify for the subsidy?
The base model should.
The tax
Yeah,
break.
the base model. The base, maybe not the $7,500 one, but I have to go back and look because
Yeah, I
there's
don't know.
different. There's
I don't
different
know.
tiers.
I don't know
It's a
all
little
the
bit higher
prices.
price. But the thing is, they're already losing, I think, 30,000 per vehicle. So now they're going to lose $40,000.
I'm happy to take
per
that.
vehicle.
I'm happy to take that.
Oh, for you, yes, but this goes back to like anyone buying a Lucid right now has to factor in what happens if this company goes under. Like what happens?
Yeah,
if
yeah,
this
but
company
okay. The
cannot
issue with Ford
service
is
these
the
vehicles?
scaling. As soon as they figure out how to actually manufacturing, which they're trying, they're learning, they're improving, they're getting better at software. All of these things are happening in tandem. At some point, someone's gonna win, whether it's GM, probably not GM, or Ford. I think one of these will survive, and it looks like Ford is the one that's going to survive.
I actually think it'll be Kia. If you ask me, I think the sleeper player here is Kia.
All right, we got 30 seconds from Chris, and then we have someone in.
I say sell Tesla, buy Ford. That's the bottom line.
I mean, that's the takeaway. That's the takeaway of this whole conversation.
Yeah, I don't think so.
$12, Tesla's $400. So of course I'm going to buy Ford.
No, I don't think so.
Ford,
you really
would.
I don't think I would sell one share of Tesla for 1,000 shares of Ford right now.
Chris, go ahead.
In terms of like product, the F-150 is awesome. Like they have everything that a person who would want to use a truck for. They actually have everything that you could imagine.
Absolutely,
for it,
compressor.
That's
240 volts. Power.
It's like they literally asked the biggest people who would be end users of a Ford truck, what do you want in a truck? And they designed the entire truck around that. Whereas the Cybertruck seems a little bit kind of like gimmicky a little bit.
But we don't know everything. The Cybertruck has everything. We don't know if it has these options yet. Which I think they will.
Yeah. No, the Cybertruck has all those options. Compressor.
It has the compressor built in. It has 240 volts.
Yes, 110 and 240 volts. It has adaptable air suspension.
Okay.
Adaptable air suspension. It has the built-in ramp, the sun cover. It has it has everything. It has everything that the Ford does. The only thing that the Ford will do that the Cybertruck won't is vehicle to home powering.
I thought that was fucking.
That's
that
annoying.
Really
they
cool.
don't do that. That is really annoying because
it doesn't sell power walls. And the other problem is, you would use a lot more power than you think. And so even a Ford battery, what's the Ford battery? Say it's a 80 something kilowatt hours. You'll burn through that pretty quickly. I mean, even you would need the equivalent of, I think, 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 power walls, but you can burn through that power pretty quickly.
Yeah, but the Ford has 100 kilowatt.
Let me look it up.
Battery there, like something crazy. If I wanted to buy a Tesla Powerwall, it's around 10 kilowatts. I'd have to buy 10 of them. I'd rather get the truck. I'd rather connect it to my house. Like there's a lot of benefits with this Ford car. I think with the Ford F-150.
It's a 98 to 131 kilowatt. Yes, but okay. This is what one of the solar installers that we spoke to about this vehicle to home charging is that because of the way that energy is bi-directional, you can't just plug the truck in and all of a sudden it's used as a battery. There's all these like disconnect switches that you have to route the power in a way where you don't blow the transformer or you don't blow the lines. So it's not it's not for the average. It's not for the average user to just come home and plug the truck in and be powering.
Look, it's got to become easier to use. That's true, but that's happening. So Ford has this plan to make it happen for the regular consumer. And honestly, if I was thinking right now, what can I actually use? Even if the Cybertruck was out, but I want to also have a battery backup. It seems like the F-150 is a no-brainer, honestly. You don't need 10 power walls.
Good luck.
Cybertruck won't let you actually plug back into the house, which is annoying that Tesla won't do this at this point. So Ford has a lot of, if they can get their prices under control and they can manufacture them cheaper, I think they're a real competition for the trucking market. Absolutely.
Well, I think in long term,
Carlos, last 10 seconds, then we got.
I think long term they're going to figure it out. I don't know so much about GM. I think long term it'll be Ford, Rivian, and Tesla in that space, and then everything else. I think I would put my money on Kia. Those Konas are really nice cars. And they're a good form factor. I think Toyota dropped the ball, and they're pushing hydrogen. They're done. GM is just horrifically managed.
GM's over.
And then all of the other startups is like whatever, and all the other and the other legacy automakers. What is their real plan? Right? Too many models. And not enough margin. So it's going to be tough for them.
I think one of the unfortunate realities for a lot of the legacy auto players is twofold. One, that they all have a crap ton of debt that they built up to do all the tooling that they needed to basically produce the cars that were in demand for the last 20 years. So that's a huge investment that they made 10, 15 years ago.
Also, the
So
deals with the unions. They're dealing with
that's the other
with the unions, dude. They can't just flip these factories over, man.
That's the other problem, which all these unions have legacy contracts that are very generous, not just to current employees, but to employees going back decades that have retired and right now are still collecting pensions. So unfortunately, this is one of those giant albatrosses that's around the legacy companies that's not necessarily around the newer players like the Rivians or the Teslas, because they're literally coming off of zero debt.
They have no baggage.
No baggage. There's no baggage whatsoever,
Real quick, as I saw this in the chat, and I've been seeing this on Twitter, Apple buying Disney.
Bro, we have people in the back.
I'm sorry, but
whoa, calm down.
Goodness, I've been waiting 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go.
Calm down, buddy.
Let the guests speak.
Maybe they want to talk about Apple buying Disney.
Maybe,
as soon as we're streaming on finance, what is it? What are we called again? As soon as we're streaming on Finance Junkies, the channel, we're gonna fucking mute Amit. We're gonna block him. We're gonna do all sorts of shit.
No,
we all need the power of the gavel, man.
Goodness. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, here comes Wong.
No.
Crossroads.
What's up, sir? How are you?
Can you switch him in, Chris?
Terrible question, Crossroads.
Doing good. Wong said that tonight was my shift, so I had to come on, and next night will be his. So
you had to come on and start an argument.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about Apple buying Disney. I'm just kidding. No.
Oh, I actually thought you were arguing.
I was like, yes.
What I wanted to ask you about is Enovix. Just as far as more your thought process. I caught maybe a few streams ago about where you said, I think one of you had said that you're going to probably sell like at 25 and just not look back. But
I sold a little today.
I did too. But like, what's your thought process as far as like when something runs up this hard? You want it long term, but man, it's just been it's going to be a while before it's profitable. And I wanted to load up like under 15. I've got some left, but what's your process as far as like when to sell, how to sell, when to get back in?
Crossroads, before we answer, how much, if you don't mind disclosing, was Enovix of the portfolio before you sold?
I think I got it up to about 5%. It wasn't. I wanted to get at least twice as big as I wanted it to be my third largest position. So Palantir, SoFi, and then Enovix with Tesla just right around equal weight there. But Tesla ran away too. So
okay, Chris, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I sold as well. Like I sold a good portion of it for two reasons. One, it's literally had a secular bull run, and the news behind it hasn't been. I mean, it's been good news, but it hasn't been that good. And there's also a lot of other battery manufacturers that are in the wings. So I think this is a smart and prudent time to lock in some profits, because if it does go down, you could always just buy more and relax. I still have a position in it, just not a very big one. What I found interesting is that a lot of people were criticizing me on Twitter, saying this guy is holding Enovix while thinking that other companies are speculative. And I was like, okay, but the thing is, like, this is a company who's got a product that could revolutionize a lot of things. So it's not a giant position that I have on it, but if there are companies that are speculative, but I know that they're trending in the right direction, dude, I don't mind speculating. I'm not one to just always be a fundamental investor and say they need to have this much profit margin, otherwise I won't buy it. The thing is, I have to be a believer either in the numbers or in the story or in both, because sometimes you can actually get lucky and have both come your way. So I think right now Enovix is in a position where the story is really good. So it's actually worth putting some money into, but not a lot. And especially if you got in earlier when Vitaly, myself, Carlos, and everyone were talking about it, and you're up like double digits, like real double digit amounts, then it's not a bad idea to trim a little bit and then put it into some other higher conviction plays. Like, so that's what I did. I needed some capital because I'm tapped out on capital right now.
I put it in PayPal. That today. Yeah. Literally did that today. I tripled, I quadrupled my PayPal position Monday and then Tuesday.
PayPal shares or leaps? What do you
leaps. Got to do leaps.
Yeah.
Not with this company. It's so far down. Like,
if it was like 125 as well?
I did 190. So
okay. for the strikes.
I think I might have my initial one was 80, and I've just I do the safe ones first at 80, and then I was like, I'll do 90, and then 100 was today.
So to answer your question, at least what I do is I always buy more than I want initially. So thinking about the long term, what do I actually need to keep for these crazy numbers to manifest? 10x, 20x, Johnny says 100x, like whatever it is. So, and then I'm like, all right, so let me buy like 33% more of this. And it was cheap. It was $10. So relatively cheap, I mean.
Right.
Still expensive for what the 8 batteries they made, but you know what I'm saying? But the
crash per share, not so good.
so I bought more than I wanted. And at this point, I was like waiting for around 25. But honestly, if you see an opportunity, something pumping, you shouldn't hold to a number. So if you think that this is the opportune time, even if you miss $2 to $5 more, I think of it this way. So if I'm DCAing into a stock as it's dropping, which I do all the time, like Enphase, I have to DCA out of a stock. I'm never going to hit a magical top for every single position. So sell a bit. If it keeps pumping to 30, sell a bit more. Keeps pumping to 50, get rid of the whole fucking thing. Okay. So like that's the thought process.
The thing is, we don't know the dollar amount invested. We don't know your cost basis. We don't know any of that. We don't know what your financial needs are at the time. So to that point, it's like if you're getting that gut feeling like this thing's run up a bunch and you just need to take some off the table to alleviate some of the pressure, even that you're feeling, trim some of the position and allocate the capital somewhere else. Like Chris said, if it does tank, you have some capital left that you can redeploy it, or you can maybe sell some and buy some calls at that price so that you can still have the exposure, but take back some of the capital.
The only thing I'd say is I probably wouldn't buy calls for something like Enovix for one reason is that there is no timetable on when these things could come out, right? They could come out tomorrow or they could come out 5 years from now. Sometimes it takes a lot of time.
The timetable is 2024. Yeah. If it doesn't come out, then that's a big
I do
problem.
Leaps look, and they have something like 900. I was actually calculating this with a buddy of mine. They spend about 30 million a quarter, and I think they have about 10 quarters worth of money in the bank. So that's why I'm like, I'm just going to buy the Leaps app because they're going to be running until then. And a lot of what you're saying about the technology, they do have a lot of patents.
Oh yeah.
They have a lot of patents that sort of protect their IP.
But the point is not to sell everything. So if you believe in the story, that is. So because you can miss the massive run up that happened. So you can't be trading in and out 100% out of the position completely, because what does happen if TJ Rogers comes out and said, you know what, we opened the factory earlier. Samsung is our biggest partner now, and Apple VR Vision Pro, we've got all the batteries in there. So unlikely to happen now, but it might happen in a year. So you just want to participate in that and not be a fool just always running in and out of stocks, but to take a little bit off the table and not be so inclined as it keeps going up to keep taking off because you've taken your profits and you've taken the money you invested in the stock out, then you're not rushing to get out of it, you know?
Yeah, I sold about 60% today, so I've got about a 2% position. And yeah, that's more than my initial investment. But yeah, I did what Chris did, just all shares. If I was buying under 10, I probably would have mixed some Leaps in there, but I wasn't. I take forever to do DD. I'm not going to start buying until I'm sure. And I was sure.
No, that's dude. I'm like you. I have constantly missed out on early 10 to 20% gains, but I sleep better at night knowing that I made the other 80. So there are times where I'm like, you know what? Let me do my due diligence, make sure I'm looking at every single angle. I'm back testing
even the TFC spreads. Pieces. If we had done it a day earlier, we would have made more, but Chris just wasn't sure. He needed a little bit more time, right?
Better to be sure. Yeah. And I'll say, as far as nerves and stuff, that's a great thing about the bear market plus investing in crypto. Like this sort of stuff, it's like, oh, it's up like 50%, 60% in a month. No big deal, So crypto's good for calming the nerves with that.
It develops a thick skin for?
Oh yeah.
You get a big stomach. You get a stomach from crypto's ups and downs that nothing in the stock market can compare to that.
Absolutely,
dude. If you can master your stomach in crypto, bro, I give it to you. I cannot do it. I'm too much of a vagina. I'm a vagina when it comes to crypto. Like I see crypto 10% down in a day, bro. I'm like, nah, man, I gotta sell. This
is what boggles me. Like there's different reasons why I think both you and Amit should be totally into crypto. Like Amit being like the younger guy, decentralization. And even just understanding like the way that it's not inflatable, I think it would be something he would gravitate towards. And you, Chris, just looking at like it, just can you pull up pull up my Twitter real quick? I posted something that Michael Saylor posted. I don't know if I tagged you on it.
Bro, it's really hard to do DD on.
Yeah, bro. Nothing you tweet about Michael Saylor is gonna convince me, bro. It's just.
But it's a chart. He literally just posted a chart. It's not him saying anything. It's just a chart.
It's not a business.
Amit doesn't want to look at his fucking charts, okay?
He doesn't want to look at
No, I'm pulling it up. It's just that, bro, I can't sleep at night knowing I own Bitcoin. I just can't.
To me, it's not a business. It's in a commodity. That's the problem.
Either way, Crossroads, you're right. Because I've been in cryptos for so long that these swings, I mean, I don't even pay attention. It doesn't matter. Wake me up when Bitcoin is over $67,000.
You know what it is? It's like that. It's that James Franco meme where he's got the noose around his neck and he's like, first time. It's like you just don't care because when you know what the upside is going to be when it happens, and if you've been in it for 1 or 2 cycles, you just understand that a 90% drop is part of the game. It's part of the game. And I actually look for me. I actually prefer to know that those things are going to happen than be blindsided when something happens in a stock. Because with a stock, there's so many things there's so many metrics you can look at, like PEs. The CEO could tweet something stupid. They could have bad quarterly earnings, right? There's all these things. But with crypto, it's not like that. It's just its own beast, and it goes. And actually posted something else. If you think about it, crypto trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So in the 14 years that crypto has existed, that is the equivalent of 31.8 years of stock market trading data. It's a fuck ton of trading data. And so this is another reason why I think you get those accelerated and outsized gains and losses, because it's trading all over the world at the same time. And also, I mean, if everyone in the world could buy Palantir, what would the market cap be? It wouldn't be $20 billion.
$3.
Zero. It's going to zero.
It would be zero. But you get my point. Like, there's just a small group of people in the U.S. that can buy your stocks, and there's the entire planet.
Well, no, but Carlos, people around the world can buy Palantir. It's not like people in Spain.
It's harder. No, it's harder.
No, it's not harder. They have brokerages in Spain. They can't maybe they can't do spreads as easily as we can in the U.S., but they can buy fucking shares. I have an international audience every morning that's buying shares.
You go. Okay, when I got my first EV charger, I loved that charger, and it was like a Malaysian company, and I was like, I so love this fucking charger. I'm gonna try to buy this company. 3 days I was trying to figure out how I could invest in this company. I was like, fuck this. It's just too hard. It's too hard.
Well, no. The thing is, there are roadblocks. So when you're saying it's easy, it's actually harder than crypto. Crypto is much easier because exchanges are now all over the place, and you're trading the same commodity.
I don't understand how it's hard to buy stocks from Italy. I really don't see your point.
Well, I don't know every single rule for every single place, but we did talk to a guy named Lee. I don't know if you remember, Carlos, but
Lee.
He said, I have to set up all these accounts. I have to try to do some special paperwork. Like, he has to go out of his way to buy.
And the reporting,
because you're not buying a speculative whatever you call it.
No, but the point is it takes some work.
That has regulations and revenue.
You're not paying attention.
SECs across every country. Like, once again, this is how you protect investors. Like,
you're not following my thread of you're talking, but you're not actually listening. Okay. What I said was, it's harder, no matter what you're saying. It's easier to buy Bitcoin on exchange in that country. It's just easier.
I'm telling you, the reason it's easier is because you're buying something that is not a real thing in the context of a business. A business, you need a regulatory body to protect investors, which is why you have an SEC.
Crossroads, do you have Bitcoin? How do we mute this guy? Do you have some Bitcoin?
I have Bitcoin, yes. I actually have a little bit more Ethereum and Cardano, which was a mistake. I know that, typically like the Bitcoin dominance, I should have.
You have to wait.
Yeah. But I love the technology behind
Cardano's 12 cents.
But those are the only 3 I own, so.
Cardano has to hit 12 cents again.
Also, it is absolutely not easy to buy some of these altcoins. I tried to use it on Binance in 2021. The process was it wasn't Coinbase, it wasn't Robinhood. These things that just don't exist on and this idea that it's so simple to buy some Shiba Inu, no, it's not. It's not.
But neither one of us would recommend going near any of that crap.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of the freedom of these currencies. I should be able to buy whatever I want.
But then you could say the same thing about like the pink stock, the OTC stocks, right? That they could make these crazy gains because they're $5 million market cap. You can lose your fucking shirt on those companies in the same way that you can lose on these shit coins. No one's recommending that you buy any of those things. And you have to understand, like, at some point you have to allow your narrative to change. New information has come in. This is.
By the way, I'm saying Bitcoin's going to go up. By the way,
No,
I'm not
but
saying
even,
it's not-
but
I'm
even when
saying
you
I can't stomach it.
hold
That's all
on,
I'm
but
saying.
even when you refer to it, you're like, it's this speculative thing.
Well,
It's
it
not a
is.
speculative
What
Okay,
is?
first of
What
all,
would
Chris
you
is
call
too
it?
happy. I don't know
What
why
would you
Chris
call
is so
it?
happy.
Why are you always starting
No.
to fight, Chris?
He's got something good.
No. It's your
Actually,
guys'
go
talk
through
just your guys' talk
He's
just
just-
reminds me of like a year back. My brother-in-law comes over. He's like, "Look, man, let me borrow like $1,000," and he knows nothing about investing, nothing, right? I was like, "All right, sure, man. What do you need it for?" He's like, "Listen, I got this crypto. It's gonna fucking do amazing." I'm like, "Bro, I'm all ears. Go ahead. I'm listening." You know, he put $1,000 into fucking Safe Moon.
Wait, did it go up? It had a moment.
No.
Fuck no,
Oh, it
no,
Damn
Go
it.
up.
no.
The name of Moon is in the
No,
title.
it had a moment.
No.
It had a moment. It
Well, I
rallied
mean,
2000%
okay, so
in a day.
that's gambling. You know, you go to the casino.
So,
Can I borrow $1,000
no,
bucks? It's
the
gambling.
funniest thing is every time he sees me, bro, I still got that Safe Moon. Don't worry, it's gonna get there. And I was just like, come on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like
Oh,
I gave him the
done.
money knowing that it was gonna go to
He's
shit.
delusional.
But I needed him to learn that lesson early on so that he
you know
didn't
what?
fuck
For
up,
$1,000,
you know?
that's worth it. That's a good
Yeah.
lesson.
No,
for
and
$1,000
now
bucks.
for the rest of his life, you're gonna be able to hit him with that joke.
So-
No, I wouldn't
With
hit
that
him with
knife.
it, but I would.
I would.
I wouldn't. No,
So
I'm
I
not
just
gonna
want to.
do that.
Someone did mention
Yeah.
Cardano, and you mentioned Cardano. Yes, you don't buy any altcoins at all. Zero altcoins, nothing until Bitcoin has finally hit some sort of 60% BTC dominance, and then go ahead have all the altcoins you want. And that hasn't happened yet. So I
You're
believe.
right.
I believe what is his name? Into the cryptoverse guy, Benjamin Cowan. He's right. You just got to wait for BTC to hit that dominance. And then you're gonna rush in and buy all the alt pieces of shit that you want.
Just so Amit understands is the Bitcoin dominance is if you take the entire market cap of all crypto, how dominant is Bitcoin's market cap compared to the others, right? So typically the altcoins will continue to bleed. Like the collective market cap of the altcoins will drop versus the value of Bitcoin, which means how many Cardanos do you need to buy one Bitcoin? How many Ethereum do you need to buy one Bitcoin? And typically until Bitcoin is like 60%, till it's swollen up to be about 60% of the entire crypto market, the altcoins continue to bleed. And then at a certain point, that will flip.
Yeah.
And you'll see some points when actually Ethereum will be pumping against Bitcoin. But Vitaly and I did a couple of videos on these where we've like documented it, where like Ethereum is never, what was it? It's never like more than 3.5. It's never more, or it's never less than 3. Yeah, it's never less than 3.5 times whatever Bitcoin's price is. Like there's just certain things.
Oh yeah. There's a
In
range
terms of
that
how many Ethereum you need to buy it.
there's a range that Ethereum runs up, and there's some charts. But basically, if Ethereum ever hits like 0.6 of a Bitcoin, something like that, or it's 0.6 of a Bitcoin,
right, whatever it is.
Oh, it's overvalued. Whatever.
Yeah.
I forgot. I can't remember right now the charts. We probably have a video on this.
It is.
And then at a certain point, it hits too low. Oh, 0.06. I think that's what it is. 0.06. And then when it gets to 0.03 or 0.02, you got to buy some freaking Ethereum.
It's 200. and this is based on what like the large like the whales, the guys that are holding massive amounts of this thing. They trade in and out of it.
TJ the wheel deal, baby.
Astrology for white guys.
No, that's TA.
Yeah. There was a funny
Yeah,
comment that said, "By this is just funny. It passed, but it said, "Hey TJ, does the wheel actually work?"
All right, we actually got TJ in the back, so I'll pull him up now. Thank you, Crossroads. This was awesome.
See you guys.
Thanks, man.
That's a funny comment because that's his name, TJ the wheel deal. You know.
Yeah.
There he is. Hello, sir.
What up?
What's going on, guys?
What's
All
up,
right,
man?
so Enphase.
How much Enphase do you own yet?
None yet. I'm hoping to very soon, though.
What would be your ideal situation for you to?
I wanted to shit the bed during earnings, guys. I actually just pulled it up. I just
Yo,
said,
so do
9
I.
days.
Okay?
9 days. You have 9 days. 9 days for.
I'm
I'm getting a bad feeling though.
I sent the screenshot to Amit. If you want to somehow pull up the little the picture I just sent you, Amit,
Yeah.
because I'm it's what it is, man. So I have 50
That's hard to
puts
see.
at 160.
Shit.
Okay.
Nice.
Drug in.
Can you make your Amit? Can you make your screen? Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
So what is that? Yeah, 50 contracts, 15 contracts.
800 grand, guys. 800 grand is what it is.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So here's the thing, man. I want to give you guys a big shout out and a big thank you because it takes a lot of energy, guys, to research a company. I mean, like to really sink your teeth into this shit. It takes you 3 months, maybe even 6 months to really get comfortable with all the cycles of a business. Because when you're buying a stock or whether it's cash secure puts, whatever it is, buying a calls, you're buying into this company. In an indirect fashion, if you will, right? Where like, remember those old commercials of I own 0.0000001% of Microsoft or whatever the case may be. And they all part the Red Sea and they're like, oh my God, the owner of Microsoft is coming. That's kind of the way that we are as stockholders, as shareholders, in my opinion. So I don't take these investments lightly. I know that a lot of people like to call me the Kathy Wood of the wheels strategy because I like a lot of these shit stocks that don't make money yet, but I'm betting on the come. But that being said, Enphase was exciting to me because the premiums were really good. The upside was really high, but then it was all about market capitalization. I was like, how in the F is this stock, is this company only worth $25 billion? Help it make sense to me. Right. Help it make sense to me. So when I feel like there's a disconnect or Amit uses these asymmetrical risks and all this fancy Rutgers shit, I'm UT. We're a public school, guys. Let's keep it simple.
Here's why it's only worth 25 billion. Because there's a company called Palantir that's worth 38 billion. Okay, that's the only reason why it's 25.
The only thing is, I still don't know what Palantir does. I have an idea because I watched.
Nobody knows what Palantir.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
Nobody knows.
So
don't worry.
So when it comes to Enphase, I think the reason why they're not getting an overextended valuation, and it's, I would say just for me, is that their growth has slowed down significantly quarter over quarter. Like last year, they had a very exceptional year in terms of growth. If they were able to somehow keep that growth going this year, they would have been at a much higher place. I think $300 would have been like a baseline. The problem is that slowdown is now being impacted into their share price. So the prospect of future growth is like, hey, wait a second. Maybe this was just one unusual year of a lot of growth. So a lot of people pulled back on it, right? The other thing is interest rates skyrocketed. So right now, if you try to get a solar system installed, the cost of the solar system in terms of like interest rates is going to be much higher. So your total repayment is going to be much longer. So the prospect of getting solar last year was amazing. Like you would be stupid not to get solar last year based on the financing deals that you could have gotten. This year, it's the exact opposite. Now, here's the thing though, and this is something that I've mentioned before. I think eventually a lot of people are going to get back into the solar game. The only thing is it's going to be after the interest rates start coming down again and people start moving houses. Because once people start moving, like let's say you go to a new house, you buy an electric car. You're like, you know what? This is a good time to put a solar system on my roof. I'm going to be here for another 20 years. So let's finance the deal at the same time and get all of this stuff done. But if you're paying 9%, 10%, like a year on $40,000 solar installation, bro, that's more than the cost of your electricity, which is going to be really hard to justify to most people. But
well,
that
let
also
me
means
respond to that. Let me respond
because
there's a lot of things. There's some truth into the interest rate thing. And of course, most people look at that number. But that's not really what's holding a lot of folks back. Remember, we're at like 4% penetration. Right. When I talk to my neighbors, even when the rates were 2% or 3%, whatever it was to do it, they just can't wrap their head around it yet. And the story needs to unfold over time, right? They just can't understand why I would put 45,000 worth of solar panels on my roof, even if I explained everything to them.
To pay $0.
To pay $0 in electricity forever, to get credits from the polluters. They're like, oh, that sounds great. That sounds great. How much is this again? 45,000? Oh my God, I'm not doing this. It had nothing to do with interest rates, by the way. So the people going into solar will continue going to solar. I'm not saying it hasn't slowed down. Interest rates obviously have affected it, but they will continue and the story will keep unfolding. So at some point we will hit that mass adoption of 5%. We're not even there yet. We're not even at 5% penetration. When we hit that, it's not going to be discussed. It's going to be discussed in the way EVs are discussed now, where when is this happening when it's 50% of the country? Right now, that's not happening with solar.
Well, there's one thing that's super bullish about Enphase that I'll give you guys. I think we sometimes myopically look at this as, oh, they're operating in the US. This is an international company. They're shipping all over the world. Right. If you look at like Germany has a huge adoption of solar happening. Same thing with most of Europe because their electricity prices. If you look at us, we are lucky and blessed to be in this country versus what the electricity rates are in some of these other countries, especially when natural gas was at a peak last year. Bro, electricity prices per month tripled and quadrupled on people. So that feed that scars you, you know. So you're like, you know what? I am not going to let this shit happen to me again. Now I'm going to get it. The problem is the EU and all these other countries, they started to raise interest rates also. So the prospect of getting solar is really difficult. And the price of electricity has come down to some degree also. Wholesale pricing of electricity is going to start factoring its way into the general market. So I think eventually people are going to be in a position where they're going to eventually make the flip to solar, and it's not just going to be demanded in the United States. It's going to be international. Brazil, like India's like crazy growth in terms of solar. Anywhere that there is no natural sources of energy.
I'm sharing something that relates to what you're saying.
Enphase grew in Europe, by the way, 100%, 80%, 90%. It's growing massively in Europe right now. Solar penetration.
So Australia tops it once again. Australia's first. There's a 1 in every 3 homes in Australia has solar, and here's the adoption rate in terms of gigawatt hours installed. China's actually another big one too. China is pushing this.
Just make sure that you're clarifying between grid scale solar edition and residential solar edition, because I think that's where a lot of times people can get a little confused, because what you want to see is uptick in residential solar, right? Not so much in the grid scale, because Enphase doesn't do grid scale as far as I can tell, because the microinverter system would be too expensive. That makes more sense to do something like a string inverter.
So they're actually doing they just released or releasing soon a 640 watt, and we covered it on our Discord, 640 watt micro, which is going to compete with SolarEdge's 650 watt micro, basically for small commercial to medium commercial. Maybe not grid scale, because they might be just using string inverters, honestly. Who knows? Because it's cheaper. But having said that, there's still a lot of small businesses, medium-sized businesses who will use Enphase because it makes sense. It's a decentralized system where if one thing goes down, their whole business won't go down. As soon as you understand the math behind all of this and businesses look at the math, it'll be a no-brainer. And this is happening right now, by the way. They're starting to ship these things, or soon they're shipping them, but they just made them.
Something else to consider right now is that there are heavy incentives for them not to be successful. There are legacy systems in place, whether it be oil companies and even the traditional energy suppliers that still haven't figured out exactly how to make this thing work, how to incentivize people to do it, because they do need the help in terms of stabilizing the grid. And with a lot of more EVs coming online, makes more sense. You know, did you see that Tesla announced that vehicle? Was it solar only charging?
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? So I tweeted that, and this is something that Enphase should do. So it's this idea, like, we're going to need a lot more energy, and so the traditional sources of creating that energy are just simply not enough. And so this is, you could say, like a matter of national security and also to keep GDP. Someone needs to make up the difference, and it just makes more sense to source power closer to where it's actually consumed than it is to source it from a coal mine or an oil company and then pipe it, or or move it in a vehicle or send it up over wires. So
Meet Kevin's bullish, so we got to buy some more.
So
the beautiful thing, look, it's a math thing. We the cost curves, and Tony Seba keeps showing this. You guys really got to watch that guy and the charts he has. If you haven't, TJ, you should look at Tony Seba's videos. Solar is going to go 80% down lower than it is right now. How do you compete with that when you do oil or gas or anything else? You can't. At some point, it'll just be the numbers. It won't be about the environment. It'll be the numbers. And when that happens, I just want to be there and be prepared to have as many fucking shares as I possibly can to never work another day in my life again.
Okay.
So the question, guys, because we're supposed to come here and ask a question, right?
Oh, you had a question?
The question is,
I thought that was
what's the question? How much longer we got?
We've answered it.
No. I've had cash secure puts at 170 and 150, and now I settled and did this big bash at 160. I've heard Chris say he's looking for 150, possibly 130. Last time you did the little technicals for me, Vitaly, it was around you could potentially see a world where it could be 130, 150. Is that still what you're projecting? Because I would love to scoop up 5,000 shares at 150. I just don't think the market's going to give it to me. So I'm prepared to adjust my strike price to maybe 165, even possibly 170, because I've already gobbled $53,000 in premium. So I've manufactured my 150 entry point, so to speak, guys. That's the beauty of selling cash secure puts. Granted, it's capital intensive. but I sold enough puts to generate enough money through the door so that even if on paper I own them at 170, I'm really only in it for
right.
How much money did you use to get the 53 grand?
800,000.
So that 800 is all you have, all of it back, right? It's expired.
Yeah, so just do $16,000 times 50 contracts, but it's 50 contracts.
Okay, got it.
So you have that. So that money's in escrow, basically.
Yeah, essentially what they do is they take it away from your buying power. It's a cash secured put, right? So you're securing that you have the monies to buy those shares if they get put on you, but the collateral that they pay you up front is yours to keep.
Got it.
Regardless of what happens.
Right,
but
so
I'm not.
So now take the 53,000 and buy Enphase at 190 before earnings. There you go. Right? Chris, you're muted.
I was like, screw that. Buy some goddamn PayPal. You know, PayPal is the one you want, especially PayPal spreads, dude. The pricing is still attractive. I mean, it was more attractive when we bought it.
Wait, the 85 125s?
Yeah.
Well, and it is still. By the way, I bought last month. Bought yesterday.
Yeah.
Bought again today. The pricing is still attractive. I just looking at the math, looking at the options calculator, it still makes sense.
It's the stock that the market has kind of forgotten about for the last 6 months or so.
But the thing is, if you were to say, "Hey, buddy, have you ever heard of Enphase?" and then someone explained you this thing, and I'd be like, "I don't want to miss this."
Right, but everybody knows PayPal.
I'd want to participate in the Enphase.
I don't think I've ever been called a boomer for investing in PayPal.
You're a boomer. Here, why don't you bring up the chart at least so I can show?
Yeah, and then we got to call it, guys.
Yeah,
we got one more in the back, so we'll limit that to 2 minutes.
I'll just do this quick. So TJ, I've been tracking this for a long time, and I have not adjusted anything for God knows how long already. We are back in that blue channel, so we're usually in the main red channel, like the meat of the stock for the last couple of years, right?
Right.
But we are now we're back into the blue channel. So if we stay there, we are back in trend. So if we stay in trend, what does that mean? You're asking. Okay, so let me take a look. The bottom of this trend is around 180-ish. Can we go back to, like we talked about, 150 or so? But 130 is becoming a distant memory. If the longer we stay in this back in this channel,
right,
it becomes harder and harder for me to say we're going to 130. You know, I still see a possibility. There's a world, there's an environment where things crash and we go back down. Sure, that can happen. But I'm just DCAing right now, and I'm just going to keep DCAing.
Your chart doesn't have enough lines, Mr. Roboto.
When was the last time it was at 130? Because if you look at it,
the last time at 130,
it bounced around there a couple of times, but it never sat at that level, and it really had heavy accumulation.
May 22nd. That's around there.
This year?
No, 2022. May 2022.
Okay, so about a year. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So 130 possibility, even 117 possibility. But like I said, if we're back in this bullish trend and it stays there, and we're over the 200 too, we're under the 200 still. As soon as we start coming closer to 200, and if we can break through that, forget about 130. That's done. It's over. You had your chance.
Got it, man. Well, I appreciate it. The plan is to scoop up 2,500 shares at wherever the market will go, and be 160, maybe as high as 170. If I can get them there, and then I'll continue to sell 25 cash secured puts to keep lowering my adjusted cost basis that way. Because I'm gonna get the thing with Enphase that scares me, guys. It's like another Tesla. When the fucking thing moves, it moves, and it's real easy for it to outrun my covered calls, and I'll be kicking this shit down the road to 2025.
Well, here's a question actually. Why didn't you get longer? Because I done I sold a lot of puts, and I sold them at 130, 140, 150, and they're paying $30 per share basically in premium.
Right.
And I'm like thinking, what's the chance of me getting these shares? Probably 1%, 2%.
Yeah, it's because I have a lot of long date. I call them leap puts, my backstop trades on Marathon and Riot and SoFi that has taken up a huge portion of the portfolio on puts that are very, very safe, that have given me even a bigger return that Enphase could dream of giving me. So I want to play Enphase short tight to the vest right now, because I want to own these shares. Like, my thing is, like, I'm not bullshitting. Like, I want to own these shares. Sometimes I cash grab, and when I'm cash grabbing, guys, I'm transparent. I'll tell you, like, hey, I have zero interest in owning this company, but the premium's just too good to pass up. And even if I get caught bag holding, I can still cover calls and defend myself that way. But Enphase is something I want these shares to get put on me. If I can't get it done in the next couple of cycles, I'm just going to buy this shit outright, sell cover calls, and generate premiums that way. Because the thing about cash secured puts, it's real sexy, guys. You're making money and it's sleep easy at night, but you don't participate in any capital appreciation, and that's where the big money is. Like, right now, I'm excited about the crumbs. They're tasty. but I'm after the loaf. You don't get to my level unless you're willing to eat the fucking loaf. That's where
that's the quote of the podcast.
No, I agree. Why don't you share TJ's info? If nobody's on his channel, TJ has a channel. Share his Twitter if he has a Twitter. I'm not sure if you do.
No Twitter, but YouTube. So mods, you can put his YouTube channel in the description. TJ the Wheel Deal.
But man, appreciate all of y'all's insight on it, guys. I've watched. I don't know if y'all know, but Tully used to do these earnings calls. No viewers whatsoever. I saw one recently you did with Amit. And I'm like, I'm putting in work. I got to understand what I'm investing in, guys.
That's when you saw me lose $1,400 live. That's the one you saw.
I'm not premium drunk. Like, I feel like there's a huge opportunity, but it's probably a 2027 play, maybe even a 2030 play for it to really play out. So I always tell people, do not sell puts on a stock if you're not willing to be long and strong, because that creates bag holding, that creates emotional. Don't put yourself in that situation. I'm willing to own these shares. If not, I would have never sold the first cash secured put to begin with. But man, appreciate you guys. Much love. We'll be in December, New York, man. Hit me up, guys. I got you.
Thank you, TJ. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, one last one real quick. Sean, what you got? Last one.
Oh, Sean started a fight last time.
No. I won't do that.
You mean the debate that you lost, Carlos?
What did you? I've not lost a debate against you. Please.
That was a good one. That was a fun one. Okay.
So real quick, I was trying to.
What do you guys think of free speech? It's like, oh, I gotta go.
What do you think of Shopify?
Right, both y'all, shut up. Let me ask the question. Go ahead, Sean.
So I was trying to research a little bit more on PayPal and stuff like that, and I know that they are. It's called have PayPal, Venmo, but they also have the third thing is Braintree. Can someone explain exactly what that actually is? Because I hear it's like kind of like a third party thing for like Instagram. Whenever you go buy something, it's like the third party. What do you call it?
Payment processing. It's just a payment processor. Someone has to use a third party because they don't have their own thing to pay for things, right? So you can use multiple services. PayPal owns Braintree. They want to use their API, not have to.
Okay.
And obviously it's the silent grower here that's expanding. So we'll see what happens to it. But it's just another bullish thing for PayPal.
And they bought it a long time ago. So it's been very value accretive for them. So if you try to buy a payment processor that has that kind of scale today, it might be a lot more money. So it just means that, they made a great acquisition back in the day. It's another thing that it's like a feather in your cap. So PayPal has a lot of feathers in their cap right now, basically.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That was, like I said, that was one of the questions I had for PayPal. And also, I was on Instagram today, just scrolling through my feed. And I know, Chris, that you're into Truist Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Something popped up to me that they're saying that they want to give you a $400.
$400. Yes, I saw that too. $400 deposit. No, they'll give you a $400 reward for joining them on their checking.
You need to like deposit or not, or you need like a what do you call it? A direct deposit for
direct deposit.
Yeah, say two of them to at least $1,000.
Yeah. So the biggest thing right now is most banks are they're all fighting over soft dollars, right? So basically that's money that's sitting in your account that they can take and lend out at a much higher interest rate. So this way they're making money on the spread. Truist is trying to rebrand itself and they're investing heavily in their what is it called? Like physical footprint. Yeah. They're actually expanding a lot in terms of like mobile and everything else. And they're actually very heavily downloaded in the App Store as well. So the thing is they're pivoting so that this way they can reduce down the number of physical locations and become more electronic and also provide much better services. So they'll still have regional branches, but they're trying to cut down on the regional branches because they don't need the amount of footprint anymore. Like if you think about it, with their merger between SunTrust and BB&T, they inherited a lot of branches, right? We all know that right now, modern day banking, 95% of it can be done without any sort of visit to, like, I can't tell you the last time I've actually been inside a bank, but I mean, but they're still required for small businesses, for if, like, let's say you want to put your money in a locker, so that's all non-interest income that they'll still be able to generate. But they also know that they're trying to get a wider what's the word, like a wider acceptance to people, so that this way they don't have to keep building branches or they have to realign branches. So they've been heavily investing, and that's one of the things that I liked about them, because essentially this is value accretive to another degree, because so many people already know Truist. If you go anywhere in the South, you're going to run into Truist. You see ATMs everywhere. You see them at the airport. You see them literally walking down the street. You'll see branches. You'll see ATMs and everything else. So if you're in the South, like Texas, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Missouri, they're going to be there. So they're not just a regional bank. They're like a super regional. So most people that do business down South, they're all doing it via Truist. And that's one of their greatest value propositions, because a lot of people, they think of Truist as a regional bank, but they're actually something called a super regional. I think they're the 6th largest bank in the country, and not a lot of people are giving them credit for that. They also have a very diversified business. They have investment banking, they have wealth management, they have a lot of small business footprint. Their exposure to commercial real estate is a lot less than some of the other regionals that are out there of the same size. Like M&T has a lot of commercial exposure. Truist has barely any. So that's, from a risk to reward scenario, Truist made a lot more sense. So I'm sorry, I don't know if that was the questions you were asking, because I interrupted you.
Kind of was. I was wondering if it was a good thing for them, or if it was something that was kind of like, they're throwing away, kind of just
no, they're doing what they're doing everything they can to grow. You know, you want to be in a company that's trying to grow. They see essentially weaknesses. God damn it, they essentially have like issues with what is that thing called? Well, one is deposits, right? They have to make sure that they're maintaining their deposits. But right now, they're trying to grow as much as they can. Like if you look at their last earnings, they actually grew pretty well. Like they grew a single digits, but in terms of a bank, banks don't grow double digits. It's like very rare for banks to grow double digits without taking some sort of like huge losses. Like, I don't want to say SoFi, because they're not technically losing money, but they're not very profitable. So they're sacrificing profitability for growth. Truist is doing the same exact thing, but to a much lesser extent. You know.
Yeah. But plus, also, like you said, Truist is also a company that's probably acquired a lot of other new clients, and SoFi is just constantly getting new clients because there's no old clients that they had, so their growth is always going to be a little bit faster for that reason.
Yep.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome, John. Thank you.
I thought it was a cool thing, so I wasn't sure if anyone else knew about it.
Awesome. See you next time.
Yep. See you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Later, Sean.
Okay. All right. Any last words, ladies and gents?
Tomorrow, Tesla earnings. And do we want to do Netflix? I was going to say Tesla and Netflix.
Tomorrow. No, just Tesla. Netflix is not a big deal. It's a big deal, but not worth streaming.
All right. So we'll look up the time and then we'll just post something on Twitter. But yeah, I'll be down.
Yeah, we'll be on the new channel, Tesla, probably at
So if you haven't, this is a good time to put up the channel. One last time. It's only been up there about 700,000 times today. To the link to the new channel. Subscribe to the new channel, because Amit and I and any of the other guys that can join, we will be live streaming Tesla's earnings tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we should say that in the beginning of the pod.
Yeah. Well, we still have
516 people here. Still,
we still have 500 something people here. Thanks everybody for sticking around.
530. We've lost those 15 forever, boss.
Maybe we should ask them. Like, look, we say every time offline that we should limit these to an hour.
Yes.
You guys. Well, no, I tried to get it, and then you guys talk while I have 5 guests in the background about whatever you're talking about. I'm like, guys,
but then you were mean about it, so we said, "Fuck it, we're going for an hour."
If you're running the ship, run the ship. Yo, 45
no, but then you have to give me permission to mute you. Vitaly gets his panties in a bunch if I
no, you can't do that. But you do have to move the conversation.
How do I handle it?
Hold on, you can move the conversation along. We're going to the next topic. That's okay. We had our 5 minutes. That's it. Wrap it up. Done.
It's not like we're not going to talk tomorrow and the next day and the next
1 hour. 1 hour from now on. Okay.
1 hour. You guys
settled.
I guarantee it's going to be an hour 30 minutes, bro.
Seymour Duck is saying no limit. The longer the better. We will honor the results of this poll.
No.
Listen, here's one last thing before we go. All right, this is not financial.
Oh my God.
We should. And I was going to talk to you guys about after the pod anyway, so shut up.
You always do that though, Chris. You always
why do you need the last word?
Yo, did you guys see?
Let him talk, bro. You're delaying it even more. This is what you guys always do. You're delaying it. Go ahead.
I wanted to do like a live stream poker night, so all of us can get together. And if some of the users want to join us, because let's say we have an 8-person poker game, we can all play together and have like a live stream where we can shit talk, we can actually like interact. So I think that would be kind of cool,
bro.
and then we could live
Are
stream.
you saying we're not interacting and shit talking right now?
No,
I'm just saying it'd be over. It would be over like a live stream where we could have a beer, and
Who
then
knows how to play poker?
watches-
Put in the chat if you know how to play poker. Who knows how to play poker?
It's got to be
There
Texas.
you go, Ezra.
Listen.
Time limit
during
helps
the-
emphasize quality over quantity, and be sexless, be excellent, and leave.
All right. Well,
William
I'm not.
Chris,
I don't know about the sexless part. But the other stuff is true. I will say.
I don't know
this,
if you.
though. I will say this: during the pandemic, a couple of buddies of mine did that. We would get on a Zoom and we would play this game on our phones, and it was actually a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah,
But
we
to
could-
me,
yeah.
we should do this like a Patreon thing, like a Patreon thing. I think.
I don't know, man. I don't want to keep putting things behind walls, dude. Let's just do.
It'll be
Let's
content.
just do
It's
a
content.
couple.
I don't want to keep
yeah.
putting things behind
If
walls. He
anything-
has 100 Patreon users now, paying him $25.
And
What
he
are you
wants to give
talking
them
about?
He
Your
wants to
wife
give
must be
them
so
no,
angry.
no.
Dude,
unique-
there is nothing.
And-
There's
and by the way, we
nothing
should
that
do a poll tomorrow, not today. But guys, how many of you agree that $25 for one-on-one with Chris is ludicrous? Ludicrous completely.
I don't know,
Ludicrous.
bro.
How
I
it
don't know.
should be a lot more, by the way. If it's
It should be
high,
like $500 if you.
no, but the point of poker.
I mean, that
is
gets you
not
2
to
minutes.
do
That
it-
gets you that gets you a 2-minute lap dance, dude. What you're saying is you're like Cardi B WAP.
The
Okay,
point of
all right.
poker is to do it in front of like 500 people. That's when it's fun. If it's behind a paywall,
That's what I'm saying. We
it's
could
not-
do it
yeah.
like a Twitch. We could do like a Twitch stream. If you want to
You
do
do
a
it
Twitch
YouTube,
stream
yeah.
instead of.
How about this? All
You
the
know.
proceeds go to charity. We can do that too.
That's another one. There you go.
All the
That's another good
proceeds
one.
go to charity. And I'm
What's
actually,
what's
Yeah.
charity's ticker symbol?
yeah, it's charity.
What's the ticker?
I don't even know how to play poker, so to be honest, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. See you guys later.
All right,
guys.
bye everybody. See you tomorrow.
Bye.